How to plan a local festival, charity drive, fundraising event, or other local community affair. Explore the ultimate list of things you need to take care of as you're planning your local event. Depending on the event and anticipated size of attendance, you may need to take special measures. Make sure you follow all tips in this video so you can take your event to the next level and make it a success for organizers, vendors, participants, and local authorities. Welcome back, folks, to another edition of the awesome Sweetie Kiwi Show. How you doing today? I'm doing fantastic. If you were to ask me, I hope you are doing as wonderfully as I am. Go grab a cup of coffee, tea, or vodka, and let's roll. Today I want to talk to you about how to plan a local festival, charity drive, fundraising event, or other local community affair. Before I jump into the nitty-gritty here, please allow me to give a shout out to Angel Cannon in Liverpool, Amelie Wilkins in Philadelphia, and Sophie Vasquez in Pittsburgh. All three beautiful ladies are in the beautiful state of Pennsylvania. We adore you. We love you. Thank you so much for the support. Angel, Emily, and Sophie, this is fantastic to have you around. And we want to give a shout out to all our listeners in the United States and Canada as well. Number one, start the planning early. If you're planning a local event, you want to start as early as possible, because depending on the size of the event, you may need to start at least 9 to 12 months according to the FBI. 9 to 12 months. Now, if you're having a smaller event, chances are you don't need 9 months to start. You can probably start 3 months. But if you have a mid-sized event, I would say probably around 6 months. Now, when I'm talking about planning, there are several things you need to pay attention to. Number one, the location of the event. Location. It's all about location. So you want to really have a deep understanding of the location of the event, the implications for the nearby houses or nearby residences or nearby buildings, what's really happening there in terms of transportation, in terms of accommodation, all that kind of stuff you should think about. Second, the dates. The dates are kind of critical, because if there are other festivals in the area at the same time, you might have some kind of cannibalism in terms of attendance. In other words, one event or another will kind of steal your participants away, and you don't want that. Also, you want to make sure there is no government regulations around the dates. If it's the holidays or authorities have said no gathering around that date, so you want to pay attention to the date. What I'm trying to say here is once you have a date in mind, you want to do a thorough Google search to make sure there is no conflict here, because the last thing you want is to spend all your energy, money, and resources planning an event whose timing ultimately is just worse or bad. You also want to think about rough sketches of the event's physical layout. Here, I'm not talking about the location. I'm talking about the event itself, the land, the piece of land, the place where you have to do the event. In the first when I was talking about location, I was talking about the city. Here I'm talking about the area, the neighborhood. So you want to pay attention to that, and how are you going to physically lay out the events, right? In other words, what would you have the tents, what would you have the stage? If you have a festival, a music festival, what would you have, all the booths? All of those things you have to think about. Now, you also want to ponder possible risks based on the location, in terms of public health, the geography, the time of the event, not the date, the time, and the attendees. And also think about any regulatory implications that the event might have, and those carry legal implications, so you want to pay attention to that. Number two, you want to get key agencies involved. When it comes to any event, any local event, there are some key agencies you got to get involved. And I don't care about the size. The size doesn't matter. It's just a matter of principle and a matter of risk mitigation. First, you want to inform the police. Local law enforcement must be informed at a minimum. Now, if you have a bigger event, you might even want to inform the FBI at the federal level. But if you have a small to mid-sized event, informing the local police or the state police is sufficient. Next, you want to move to informing the fire department. The FD people have to be aware of what's going on in which area, because the last thing you want is to pick a spot which is very remote from the nearest fire department station, right? Because God forbid something happens during the event, you don't want the fire department to have to drive 100 miles to reach you, right? So you basically want to think about that and notify them beforehand. Another agency you got to pay attention to, not pay attention, you have to inform rather, is the Department of Health. Critical. I mean, fire department will work in conjunction with health officials, and you want to have them. You can have all the local hospitals in the area. I mean, all the local hospitals. You want to get the nearest hospital. You want to study their capacity, their specialty. In other words, which medical fields they're strong in. You got to have all this info beforehand, because God forbid when the festival or when the event is going on, you wouldn't have time to think about those things. And if there are other local government agencies you need to inform, please do so. Of course, this depends on the event you're organizing. The bottom line here is you want to get the authorities involved, and the authorities here, this is a large spectrum of government agencies you need to inform, again, based on the niche you are in. I will be right back right after this. Welcome back, folks, to another edition of the awesome Sweetie Kiwi Show. I hope you are doing fantastic so far. I'm doing marvelous. We're still talking about how to plan a local festival, charity drive, fundraising event, or other local community affair. Now, if you love the clarity and quality of the content so far, please consider subscribing to our channel and turn on the notification bell. Why? Because we drop this kind of gems every single day, rain or shine. And also comment below. You can like the content. You can share. All right? Smash the like button, please. We want to give a shout out to Alfie Thompson in Coventry Lake, Connecticut. Sam Walsh, Stamford, Connecticut, my beautiful city of Stamford. I love y'all. And Peter Duncan in Weston, Connecticut. Alfie, Sam, and Peter in the beautiful state of Connecticut. We thank you. Thank you for your support and suggestion. Number 3, decide what needs to be subcontracted. You want to think about things like events, tents, and canopies, right? If you have, depending on the number of chairs and tables you're looking for, you want to also think about who you should subcontract to things like stage setup. You want to look around the area to make sure that you reach out to companies that rent everything. I'm talking here, you want to have all in one, because the last thing you want is to rent several stuff from several companies. It's just a logistical nightmare, believe me. So you want to have all in one, or at least you want to have one company sort of handling everything, or have 2 or 3 companies. So you want the company that you choose to fit your budget, right? Because it all boils down to money. You want to make sure you can pay them, and make sure they have impeccable customer service, right? So they need to have customer service that responds to your particular needs, and that they have specific solutions you need for your event, right? So this is pretty critical here. This is really important. If you want to be surprised positively, choose right. Sorry. Another thing I want to say here is that number 4, you need to pick the right vendor. So the vendor must represent the community and event you're currently in, right? The vendor must be able to handle the volume of people, especially when you have a large volume of people. You want to be able to have a vendor that can handle that, because there are some legal, some public health, and some regulatory implications. The vendor, as I said earlier, must have impeccable reputation, not just impeccable customer service. The reputation must be clean, must be polished. Now, several vendors can apply to your event and want you to reach out to them. But I think when it comes to the due diligence, one thing you need to ask them, and this is critical, you want to make sure that they comply with all regulations applicable to the industry. You want to make sure they have the appropriate licenses, and they actually abide by regulations by FEMA and OSHA, for example. Now, FEMA is a federal emergency monitoring agency. I think it's Federal Emergency Management Administration. And OSHA is the Occupational Safety Health Administration. You want to basically make sure that the vendor you're picking has the licenses, and they have a way to prove to you that they have not been banned or reprimanded by those agencies in the past, right? For example, if you are reaching out to a food truck, you want to make sure the food truck company abides by health and sanitation regulations. Those are very important, folks. Don't underestimate the power of this, because God forbid something goes wrong, things happen, you will be legally and financially liable. Right? So you don't want that. You don't want to transform your event into a series of nightmarish stories. I'll be right back right after this. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, folks, to another edition of Sweetie Kiwi. We are in the last section here about today's conversation: how to plan a local festival, charity drive, fundraising event, or other local community affair. I love talking about this kind of subject. It's just fantastic. I want to give a quick shout out to some of our viewers. We have Matthew Walsh in the beautiful city of Singac, New Jersey, Raphael Booker in Newark, New Jersey, and Alex Ward, Jersey City, New Jersey. So Matthew, Raphael, and Alex, we love you all from the beautiful state of New Jersey, the Garden State. Love that state. Got family there. Love it, love it, love it. Number 5, and that's the last one here. You want to promote massively. If you plan a local festival, charity drive, fundraising event, or other local community, and you've taken care of the location, you've taken care of the authorities, law enforcement, public health, fire department, you've reached out to the right vendor, you are able to set everything right, you need now to promote. You want to market. You can market through your website. So you just reach out to a web designer. Nowadays, these things are so cheap, you don't have to spend a lot of money to set up a website. You can even use templates. There are a lot of providers out there that give you predefined templates based on your industry, on your niche. And all you got to do is just pay like a few bucks and customize the template yourself. They'll take care of everything. They will host the website for you. They will not promote it, but they will host it for you. They will give you the domain name and so forth and so forth. All right. Social media should be a big component of your strategy when it comes to marketing your event. Social media, be on the right platforms, whether it is Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, or Twitter, or Pinterest, you name it. You can also, if you have the right budget, advertise on local radio and TV. Because when it comes to local festivals, research has shown that local advertisement works a lot. You can use mass text messaging also. Research again has shown that people are more likely, the open rate of SMS, of text messages, is very high. I think it's like 95%. So you have not more than 9 people out of 10 will open and read your text message. So use group text messaging. Word of mouth is also great. Anything you can do in the community to foster word of mouth around your event is fantastic. If you're lucky or have the money, use a social media influencer who is locally relevant. You want someone who is appreciated in the community, someone who is seen as a thought leader in the particular niche you're in, or somebody who's seen as a light, quote unquote light, in that particular field. So reach out to them. You can also reach out to community leaders. Community leaders can be very, very, very conducive to expanding your word. And last but not the least, religious congregation, right? I mean, they have access to a large flock every week, and this is fantastic. So you can also find a way to involve them in your event to increase the marketability and to increase the reach of your particular event. All right, folks, this is it for today. I really appreciate you having you just stopping by to have a conversation with us around how to plan a local festival, charity drive, fundraising event, or other local community affair. And to do this, you can do this in 5 steps. Start the planning early. Get key agencies involved. Decide what needs to be subcontracted. Pick the right vendor. And promote massively. All right? I'll talk to you another time. But until then, remember, stay marvelous.